Hello again, well done if you're playing this video. If you're watching this video, it means that you've hopefully completed all of the calculations that I asked from you in that table. Now I've also completed all of the calculations with the circumference and the diameter for my 8 circular items. Now I asked you to see if you could spot anything with your table. You might want to take a few seconds to pause your video and compare your table to mine. We would have obviously used different items, but your table might look similar to mine in one way. Now hopefully a lot of you have spotted, if not all of you, that there's a similarity with one of the columns. When I added the circumference and the diameter, all of these numbers are different. There's nothing jumping out at me there. Same when it comes to the circumference, subtract the diameter. There's nothing that jumps out as interesting from this column. Same with the circumference multiplied by the diameter. A lot larger numbers here because we're multiplying them together, but nothing that stands out. But as for this column, the circumference divided by the diameter, that looks interesting to me because all of my numbers, all of my items, when I took the circumference and divided it by the diameter, I either got 3.1 as an answer or 3.2. So they're really similar. And you might have, I hope so, got something similar where all of your answers were around 3 or 3.1 or 3.2, maybe a little bit bigger. But that's something that definitely seems interesting to me, and that's what I would have written on these 2 lines on my paper if I was going to write something down now. Now I'm not going to ask you to do any more maths calculations today for this lesson, but I would like you to write down something interesting about when we divide the circumference by the diameter. Whenever we divide, if you'd like to copy this down, this would be great. Whenever we divide a circle's circumference by its diameter, we get the value, put a little colon, we get this value, and the value is 3.1415925, and that number goes on for ages. Now in our tables we were very close to 3.14159. When we rounded, or when I rounded in my table, I was around 3.1 or 3.2, which is either side of this number. The reason for this is because it would be so difficult for us to be 100% accurate with our measurements for our items. So that's why we haven't maybe got this number 3.14159 exactly right for all of our items, for all of our circumferences divided by diameters. But if we were able to measure circular items 100% accurately, then if we took the circumference and we divided it by the diameter, we will always, every single time, get the value 3.1415925, and so on. This number goes on for ages. And we call this number, or this value, pi. And we use this symbol. It's a line across with 2, I guess, little leg looking like type things. So we get this value, and we call this number 3.141 and so on pi. Now you might have heard about pi in Year 8 already, or you might have heard about it outside of school maybe. Maybe you've come across it elsewhere. You will use pi a lot in maths over the next few years, so it's important that you know where it comes from, which is why we've done this little experiment over the last couple of lessons. Whenever we divide a circle's circumference by its diameter, we get pi, which is 3.141 blah blah blah. Now pi is actually trillions of digits long, and so far, or up to now, we know what 6.4 billion of those digits are. I think the world record for reciting this number is about 70,000, which is huge. Now there are two important formulas that we use when it comes to pi and circles, and I'd like you to write them down. This is what we're going to look at next lesson. We're going to do some calculations using these two important formulas. The first one is that the circumference can be written as pi times the diameter. I guess this looks a little bit, well, it's a rearrangement of the calculation we did in our table. So to find the circumference of any circle, if we've got the diameter, we multiply it by pi and we get the circumference. And the other one, which we're going to look at next lesson, is that the area of a circle is given by pi times r squared. Now we haven't come across r yet, but that stands for the radius of a circle, which I'll explain next lesson. But if we know what the radius of a circle is, then we can do pi times radius squared to find out the area. So make sure you've got all of this lesson copied down, all of this writing copied down, sorry. And then in your next lesson, we will do some calculations using pi.